Hey there everybody, and welcome back. For those of you that are looking at purchasing either the Garmin Vivoactive 3 or the Garmin Forerunner 245 with music, stay tuned. I'm going to be covering the basics of both watches and a general review using the two in today's video. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump straight in. Now, a couple of primary differences between the two, which are going to be obvious. You'll notice I'm touching the Vivoactive 3 to get the backlight, whereas with the Forerunner 245, you'll see that I'm actually having to click this button up here for the backlight. So, a couple pros and cons. First and foremost, the touchscreen is a pro and a con. As a long-term or long-time Vivoactive user, recently with this Vivoactive 3, I've had some battery degradation, so I've had it probably close to about 2 years now, and I'm charging it 2 to 3 times a week as opposed to the original 1 to 2. So that's what prompted me to start looking, and the Vivoactive 4 was a little bit more costly and just honestly wasn't what I was expecting. Now with this, I'm not sure if it has a gyroscope or not that's actually going to be getting the backlight. It looks like it does because it's basically when I'm tilting it, it is still having that backlight show up. So good news and bad news because everyone always has that issue where they flip their watch up and don't quite get the visibility they want. So that's really all that there is to it. So you'll see it just lit by itself. So good news there. The Vivoactive 3, I think I might have disabled that or it just doesn't come with it. So form factor, they're both very, very similar size. When it comes to weight, the Vivoactive 3 has a healthy weight I've grown accustomed to. The Forerunner 245, honestly, some people say that it feels like it's a high quality watch, but to me, it feels like there's almost nothing inside of it. And lastly, when it comes to the watches themselves, you'll see they both have the heart rate monitors. We'll go over the specs in a bit. But biggest difference, the Vivoactive 3 has a single button, and the Forerunner 245 has 3 on the left and 2 on the right. Now, I'll be putting a couple links in the description to more detailed reviews of each, but just general idea, if I were purchasing these as a runner, which I am, I would go with the Forerunner 245. General day-to-day use and something that's just easy to pick up and use, Vivoactive 3. With the Vivoactive 3, I've had some battery degradation, which I've already mentioned, but that just comes with time. And I've had issues with the touchscreen recently where when I take showers, it just starts to kind of do its own thing. So water doesn't work well with touchscreens to begin with, but this will remove its data screens so I can't scroll up anymore and I have to go back and re-add them. Sometimes it'll switch watch faces. So I am excited to not have to deal with that anymore with this 245. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into specs. So I'm going to be comparing the 245 music and the Vivoactive 3 with music, although this one does not have music. Main reason is the article that I found on the journeyer.com, which I'll put in the description, covers those two as kind of an apples to apples situation. So looking at the 245 Music Pros, so we'll back out and go to the home screen. So a lot of the pros that they list online are the accurate heart rate sensor, the built-in GPS, step counting. So basically this watch is just good for what it's intended to be used for. Now, it does have courses, so GPS routes, which can be downloaded to the watch. Data screens are customizable. Most of this, like the Connect IQ, things of that nature, those really just come with all Garmin watches. They tend to be pretty accurate for activity tracking from what I've read. And this supports Spotify and the music, not streaming over Wi-Fi, but you can download the songs, but it does require that premium subscription. Now, one con they noted is the SpO2, so the blood oxygen sensor readings can be inaccurate, and battery life is not as good, but they're comparing that to a completely different watch. I've read online that the Forerunner 245 tends to get anywhere from, honestly, just a couple of hours to a couple of days, usually about 1 to 2 days of extra usage than the Vivoactive 3, which I am looking forward to. And going to the specs. So this has lens is cornering Gorilla Glass. The watch case is made out of fiber reinforced polymer. The bands have the 20 millimeter quick release. So you'll see we have this quick release here, which is very similar to the Vivoactive 3. And battery life is up to 7 days in smartwatch mode, 6 hours with GPS and music playing, and 24 hours with GPS, no music playing, which is amazing. Supports pool swimming, Then we have some other basics: accelerometer, pulse oxygen, incident detection assistance, which is awesome. I think it's a really cool new feature where it basically reaches out to emergency contacts if it detects a fall. I think it works only in bike mode, but you would need to double check on that. And then again, you have point-to-point navigation, real-time breadcrumb trail, GPS coordinates, and 500 song storage, and ANT plus sensors are supported. So it has a ton of other actual, we'll just say general activities that are supported, but general ideas, that's really all that there is to the watch. So it's a solid feeling watch overall. It does feel a little light, but honestly, that's probably more of a pro than a con. The only other big difference I've noticed is the heart rate sensor tends to stick out a little bit more than the Vivoactive 3, but not too much to notice. So when I got this, it was at 60 something percent. It didn't turn on until I plugged it in. I'm assuming that's by design. I have no clue with this one because it is so old, but again, they usually charge in between 1 to 2 hours, if that. So let's go ahead and jump into the Vivoactive 3. Now I'm quoting specs from the music version. So online, some people list that the pros include, so the touchscreen, very simple and easy to use. It is a little bit delayed. So the downside to the touchscreen, you typically feel like you're using a phone when you use it and you expect it to be responsive, but you can tell when I'm swiping, there's a pretty distinct delay with the screen actually moving. And I'm not even using Bluetooth or connected to the phone. So that, not ideal. Does have a barometric altimeter, gyrometer, and thermometer, and then supports water, winter sports, etc. So not much different up there. Does have that music storage and Spotify, and then the custom activities. And then some people noted online that the build quality for this isn't as good as the Forerunner 245. I'm not really sure how they're determining that because I like that it feels a little bit more solid, but I'm sure that the lighter weight 245 will grow on me over time. And then there's no navigational features on this like breadcrumbing or courses. So this is not going to be as ideal of a runner's watch. And then you have that lens is cornering Gorilla Glass 3. Case material is polymer. You have that 20 millimeter quick release bands, as I noted earlier, so very easy to swap out. And then battery life is in smartwatch mode is up to 5 days, GPS mode with music. You do have that option as well. I don't see that battery life listed on the website, unfortunately. Has VO2 max and up to 500 songs and ANT plus sensors. So you have a couple more activities that are listed, but the major differences that I'm seeing between these two devices are obvious literally by looking at them. So first and foremost, screen size looks to be about the same on both. General appearance, I don't know why, it just sometimes feels like this screen is a little bit smaller. But you have 5-button navigation on this, so you have your running and activity button up here. You have your back button here, light, your backlight here, and then you have your basically your up and down buttons here. With the Vivoactive 3, basically all the controls are through the display itself, and then the activity button on the right-hand side. So that's really all that there is to it when comparing the two watches. Again, both are very, very solid choices if you're buying them new. I can't speak to them being used. I could just tell you I got about 2 years out of this. Pretty heavy usage. I mean, we're talking GPS runs, doing obstacle course races, you name it. So I'm really looking forward to the somewhat more advanced running metrics or running features in the Forerunner 245, as well as the increase in battery. Now, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below, and I'll see you all in the next video.